Well, it's going together quite quickly now. I've had a real concerted effort driving this thing forwards, getting it to a point really where I can get it MOT'd. Excuse me, hickety uppity, it's just bolted my lunch, you see. No time for lunch. I've just literally just put the steering wheel in place because I've been messing around with the front hubs and so forth. Bonnet release is working, was working. Is it open? It might be open already. Yeah, just needed the other hand. Right, so let's get my thing off there. The ABS modulator is in and bled, as I've said already. I've been going through, I'm waiting for a Vacuum Advance to turn up, distributor doctor. I'm sending that through, that'll be nice. I've got all the vacuum pipes and everything in. I still need to connect the battery clamp up. That's going to be needed for an MOT. Front bumper's on, I haven't put the spoiler on yet. All the grille and everything's in. It's all looking quite nice. That mark there is because the badge was in the middle. I don't know why people do that. You got it there, and you look fine. Okay, you like that? That's fantastic. Great. I like them over on one side. I've not put any of the stickers on yet. Yesterday, I was putting the tow ball on. Excuse the noise, the boys are working. And one of the problems I've got with the tow ball, it's a silly one, this one, is that now we've got this new aftermarket cradle holding the tank up. Is of a slightly different design to the old one, and because of that the tank's sitting very, very, very slightly lower. So I've had to grind a notch out of the tow ball supporting arm. Now it's a bloody great big piece of, I don't know, what's that, thumb length, 1.5 by 1.5 by probably 6mm thick angle iron. So I think literally just taking the nip off the corner up there is not going to cause it too many problems. This thing is capable of towing 3.5 tons, so I really don't see that as being an issue. All of the bolts have gone back, and I'm using an 8.8 grade bolt where I've had to replace them, otherwise I'm using standard. Didn't undo any of these, and I bolted it back up to the chassis. So that's all back in place again. There's the tow ball mount itself. So that means pretty much the back end of the car is complete now, bar wheels, which are over at Planet Wheels for a refurb. Battery clamp on these Range Rover Classics. This is how I do it. Now I see so many Range Rover Classics where the clamp, which is a right angle, is on this edge here and pulling the battery that way. Alright? And to my mind, that is just too much risk then of the battery clamp earthing out the positive terminal on the battery. And you do an extensive discharge on one of these things, and there is a risk that they are going to go bang. And when these things go bang, they shower the entire engine bay with acid. So, what I tend to do, using the same pieces of rod, pretty much on the same connectors, I just have the battery going, sorry, the connector going right across the middle here. I can't move the battery, it doesn't move anyway at all. It doesn't look as beautiful, perhaps, I don't know, perhaps I could have it going straight across the middle, but it's a functional engine bay, so it hooks on the back of the hole where the headlight bulb goes through, and it hooks onto one of the 4 or 5 holes that I've got down here. Now the other thing I too tend to use here is I use a coach bolt, which has got the big round end on it, and I bend it at right angles and I push it through from that way and then up. So basically this thing is never going to come out of the car. So when you undo this nut, this just flops around, but unless you're pulling can you see it? I don't know, you probably could see it down there. There is, down there, there is the head of the coach bolt. Works a treat. That's that. Now, what I was going to do next here, clank, 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 was the Vacuum Advance unit. Now you can actually change these without, as Move Dale's like, you can actually change these things without removing the distributor. It's not that difficult. This is already broken off anyway, so I'm going to change that over. There should be a rivet there that holds that in place. I've already had this chap out. The only thing I'd recommend you do is just wedge a load of tissue down behind the distributor, because when you drop the screw, you'll want to be able to retrieve it. Now sometimes you can do this really, really, really easily, and sometimes you can do it and it's a pain in the arse. Now, I sent the original vacuum advance off some time ago to distributor doctor, and I've got the replacement back, which is great news. And it was not an issue then getting it all apart. So that's just my slave unit I put in there because I wanted to be able to start the engine up. Without these in place, the base plate will move all over the shop. So that's my unit. This is the unit that comes back from distributor doctor. Now, you get hundreds of these things and they all look exactly the bloody same. And the important part for these is the number around the top here. So don't just think, oh, I've got a 35 DLM8 distributor, I'll take the vacuum advance off that. Because it might not necessarily be exactly the same. And it might not necessarily have the right kind of advance on it, based on vacuum and so forth. So, around the tip here, there is a tiny number. There's a big number, which is the rating, and that says on this one, that says 5/178, and that's the rating. And then beyond that, there's a number, and the number is the part number. Okay? Now, someone like Distributor Doctor, I like Distributor Doctor, Martin is brilliant. This video is not sponsored by him, I'm just a very happy customer. This unit then is, so you've got to send the old unit back as a donor, but this unit then is completely refurbished and it works. So when I suck on that, this moves inwards. Beautiful. Abso-fucking-lutely beautiful. Now, when I put these things together, basically what I'm doing is I'm looking for the pin on the base plate in there. And it is a faff, and I can't show you exactly what it is I'm doing because it's like, you know, keyhole surgery. But I lift off the distributor cap really just to give me a little bit more room. Had I not filled up the cooling system, then the top hose would have come out of the way and it would have made life so much fucking easier. But we are where we are. I can move that out of the way, and I push this in here, and I really want to get that onto the pin. So it's a case of feeling around until that gets onto the pin. There's the pin over there. That feels like it, that's on the pin. So I can actually pull the vacuum advance back and forth and see the base plate moving through the top of the distributor. So now that's in, fantastic. What I've forgotten to do is put the grommet gasket on the inside. So I'm going to take it off again. However, now what I've done is I've moved the pin a lot closer. Oh, fuck you. I've moved the pin a lot closer. Sure, that was unnecessary swearing there, Richard. I am sure of that. You did not need to swear. Fuck, you've done it again. I thought I had my finger on that then. Right, put my finger on it this way round. So we'll put that back onto the post. Of course, it won't go on the second time round. I made it look really easy the first time round. The alternative is you take the top plate off, take the cover off and everything, and then you can faff around and get it to fit. But to be honest, this is just as time consuming to do it this way round, he says. There we are. No, not quite. It felt like it was almost on then. There, it's on that side. And the gasket's still there. Right, let's push the gasket up so it's central. That's good. And I can see the base plate moving, and it's all in place. Now, just in case, now I'll put the two screws back on. This is where you need a bit of tissue paper, I'm afraid, folks, because you will drop them 1,000 times. I think these are T15 Torx. See, it's come off. What I might do here actually is take the HT leads out of the way, because it's going to make life so much fucking easier. Right, HT leads out of the way. HT lead pull. And I can see that is all now neatly in place, and I'm going to push that home so that it is fully in place. And it is, and it's still attached. And now next thing I need to do is to put the screws in. Right, that's home. So work on this leading edge screw first of all. because this is the one. That clip there needs to have still attached, and screw lines up. That screw is almost in. Now what we need to do now is get the screw at the other end in. The gasket is being a little bit irritating. Now the screw down here is actually, it goes into a slot, so in theory it should be easier, but the thermostat housing's in the way. But you know, shit happens. Screwdriver bit to do it up. Now, so both of these were loose when I took it apart, indicating that someone's been here before. But then it's hardly surprising really on a 29-year-old car, is it, Richard? It might be nice if they'd done them up. Right, vacuum advance module fitted back on. Now we've got a factory Lucas rotor arm on it. While we're here, I'll also have a quick look at the inside of the distributor cap. That's not beautiful. That distributor cap is very tired. Very tired. Oh, I've not actually even been in here yet. If I get the lights pointing like that, get you like that, clank, 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 clank. You see how the tips are burnt? Each one is burnt. So ideally you could do with a new cap, but let's just set the ignition timing first of all, because we can do that without changing the cap. Distributor goes back on. One of these, probably that one, goes over there. That's the king lead. Make sure the cap is in the right location. In the right location. In the right location. HT leads go back through yaw. And because I've got this little piece here, which I didn't take off, I know which order the lead's going to go in. That's 8. That one there. Fucking great, look at this. Might need some new HT leads on this as well. Fuck's sake. I've been nowhere near the ignition apart from, in fact, testing the, that one's gone as well. That's actually gone because of the clip there. It's not beautiful. Right, and then I've got all of these in the right sort of location. It starts fantastic. Right, okay. Now let's pop that onto number 8. The plugs out on this. So we are where we are. Get on with you, fucker. Right, and then this one. Nice click. Making sure each one of them clicks, because if you don't click, it ain't gone on. Now I do need to set the base idle on this car, and I'll show you why in a second. That's all on. Right, we're not going to connect the vacuum advance pipe up yet because we need to do the ignition timing. And you don't want to do that with the pipe on. Let's pull the rag out of there before I forget. Very useful for if you do drop a screw, then at least you can use a magnet to pick the bloody thing up, rather than wonder where the fuck it went and give up on it. Right, that's all that. Right, let's get ready for a start up. Let's just open the door up. only because the exhaust point's down here. I don't want to gas myself out. Cold start. I love a cold start. Only because it's cold in the morning. We're not talking about, you know, it hasn't started in 400 years. Right, ready? That's what I mean about the fast idle. It's a bit too fast on a cold start. And it does settle down. It's not horrendous, but we need to warm this up a little bit. And once it's warmed up, then I can do an ignition check on it. We'll just double check where the ignition timing is. Let me warm it up first of all. Before we do this ignition timing, what I do is I use a 24mm socket and a ratchet underneath the car because you can't get to it from on top. And then I crank it round until I find the top dead centre marking on the pulley. I've marked top dead centre. I'm also going to mark the 12 point. So I've got top dead centre, 6 and 12 I'm going to mark. Now, the book on this suggests 6 for the 3.9. I've not been able to find the setting for the 4.2, but it's going to be somewhere between 6 and 12. So it's going to be a by ear job here. So I'm marking these all out, and I just use a bit of correcting fluid just to make a mark on the crank pulley, and then when I'm timing, it will reflect against the. So there's 12, and there's 6. All right, so it just gives me a rough idea about where I'm going. These are before top dead centre, not after. Right. Let's warm it up. Light can go off. I can get out. Oh, God help me. I know someone's going to shout to me about getting a ramp. Yes, someone buy me a ramp, please. But if you can buy me a ramp that doesn't go more than 2 feet, that'd be fantastic. And I'm still going to get on the floor. I need a different workshop, really. Right, let's get on with this. Let's get the fuck on with it. Put you back in the drawer over here, called thread lock, but all my usual shit goes in there. Good cabinet, that. Fucking exhaust manifold's blowing over there. God, does this job ever stop? Right, ignition timing first. I can see it over here. We're currently running at about, I would say 5 or 6 before top dead centre. I'm inclined to move that. I'm inclined to retard that a little bit and do it by ear. So let me switch off, loosen the pinch bolt, and see if we can get this thing going a bit better. I'll let you guys say it. I'll let you guys say it. Oh, the radio's on. That's useful. That is useful. I'll tell you what, it's always interesting what you find in engines when you're faffing around. But I just went to come down here to undo the pinch bolt. I'm thinking, what on earth is that? Right, it's on top of the distributor. Look, it's the remains of the breather pipe that goes from. It's even got the end of the T-piece in it. What the fuck? That should go down here, which is why the T-piece has been broken, but also it's got a funny bit of hose in there which I had to shorten. Treasure! Well, that might go back on again. It's serviceable. God knows what's down there. Right, okay, now I can see the bolts. Just about. You probably can't, but you know, that's a me problem, not a you problem. 9/16, 440. Let's see if this fits in. Sometimes they're a bit on the tight side getting in down here because of the cooling fan and everything else. And obviously you can't do this with the engine running, because the fan is down there under your fingertips, and it is not recommended. You put your hand down here when the engine's running. Right, that's the top dead centre. That's what we're working for. It's heading out towards 12. Right, that is 12. That's 9. So much like a 9. I did look at the book. The book did suggest 4.2, 8 degrees for top dead centre. It's kind of where you need to be. That's kind of what it's at the moment. I'm inclined to see what it's like at that. Got the wheels on. They look nice, don't they? I haven't put the centre caps on yet. And I gave the roof a clean off, and I was getting all ready to go out for a test drive. Confirmed the ABS light does go off. That's great news. And then, you can see the jacks under the car. Like an airbag came apart. So it's not actually blown it. It's come off the top mount. Probably because when it was extended and I put the axle back on, it didn't compress itself properly. So I'm going to have to get the top plate off and put this back together again. This is actually one of the better airbags as well. I don't know who made this one. It's a Koki 5000, boy. What have we got here? Most of this crazy up here is actually wax. But it's still on one end, just the other end is still on the chassis. So I'm going to take the top cap off, disconnect the airline, which is a faff, and then pop it all back together again. I think. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. It's supposed to be quite easy. Oh my god! It did start to go up and then it just went bang really loudly. Basically, as you can see, it's just popped off. Bastard thing. Fucking ungrateful bastard. Anyway, these wheels. These were done by Planet Wheels over at Nap Hill. Bit of dust on them because I was beautiful. They've done a really nice job of those, haven't they? They did struggle a bit with them. I think it was this one because someone's been round it with a machine sander. I mean, what sort of fucking ham-fisted gibbon does that? Uses a wire cut brush on an alloy wheel. But anyway, they've done their best with it. But overall, I'm going to say they look fabulous. Right, let's get this air suspension sorted out because I want this thing so it moves. So this is the rear air spring unit that disassembled itself when I attempted to fill the air spring up. It wasn't very helpful, Richard. It really was not. Now, it's a relatively straightforward thing to fix, as I understand it. Just moving up there. Got the top plate. And this is unique to the Range Rover Classic, and you've got the main airbag at the bottom, piston, that they call it. Now, as I am led to believe here, it's imperative that the pins are in alignment. So what I'll do is I will mark on there, pin, and I will mark on here, pin. In fact, you can see the pin here. There we are, pin. So we know that when those two are in alignment, that will be okay. Now, overall condition of this thing, the bag looks all right. I think it's a repro bag, reproduction, I should say. But it doesn't appear to be particularly nasty, and I suspect the only reason it's failed here it's popped the top off. It hasn't actually failed. It's popped the top off. It's because the system I've had the back axle off it, and obviously I haven't sorted things out properly like that in order to put it back together again. So I think the piston, this thing was completely extended, like, well, I'm going to pull it apart again, but basically the piston was completely disassembled, and because of that, when it kind of went up, I think it went off at an angle. So this is how it should be. Okay, it allows you to install and remove them fairly straightforward. Now that needs to go back on there. Okay, and then I need to push the air pipe back in. Now, air pipe, when you get these things out, they're a piece of piss. There's a big dirt shield that goes over the outside. Pull that up the outside of the pipe. Then you'll notice this little green sleeve here. Yeah, it'll be sticking out like that. And all you need to do is to push it down. I use an 8mm spanner, push it down and pull the pipe the other way, and they pop out. There's no great drama. There really is no great drama. Basically, you've got a big lip around the base of the top section, and that obviously needs to go underneath the lip that's on the inside of this. So we'll try a little Vaseline. Might help it. It might not. A little bit of Vaseline. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. Doop-a-doop-a-doop. I suspect what happened here was that when I took the back axle off, I probably hadn't fully depressurised the system. Oh, it's straight on, look at that. No pissing around. So now I line this up so the two lines are absolutely fucking bang on. There's my ruler. Probably no need to swear there, Richard, but you know what happens. So I line that up with the line on the bench. Yeah, they're bang on. And now I can install it back on the car. Yes, Richard. Yes, you can. Right, so here we are. We're in the driver's side rear arch. Got the air spring. So basically, I've supported the chassis on a stand, and I've just dropped the axle down as low as it will go, as low as the damper will let it go. And as you can see, the air spring has got a shitload of room to move around in. So, air pipe goes into the top of the air spring. Push it in as tight as it goes, and then it won't come out again. And in order to get it out, and I don't know if you can see this, spanner? I had a spanner. That's me, 8mm spanner. Bastard thing. It's there 2 minutes ago. It's in your pocket. No, it's not. Richard, what have you done with the 8mm spanner that was there not seconds ago? Sure. Silly idiot. Right, okay, so 8mm spanner. I've pulled the dust shield back. Let's see if we can get the light a little bit better. Does that work? That works. There we are. You can see now. There we go. Right, okay, so there's the dust shield. Goes over the top. Pull the dust shield back. And then you can see the little green spacer. Put the 8mm spanner on it. Pull the sleeve down and then pull the pipe off. That's how they come off. It is a piece of piss. If you're wrestling with them, you will damage the connector. So to push it back in, I push the pipe in as far as it will go, and it locks into place, and then pull the dust shield back down over the top. There we are. Now, I need you out of the way a little bit because I need to put the springs that hold the air spring up against the underside of the car. So I'll position that there. There's 2 pegs on the top here, peggies we'll call them. And they go through holes that are in the chassis here, and then we push these little bastards on. Naturally the camera's in the way. It's always in the way. Right, there's one, and then the other. They're open on one side and then on the others. You should be fairly familiar with these tips if you're working on Land Rovers. They're quite common. They are on the brake push rod to the brake pedal, various other locations I've seen them. I couldn't tell you what they're called. They're like a C-clip. Oops. Right, let me get the camera out of the way. I'm going to do this and I'm going to come back to you. Right, it's all working. So we've got the standard height. I've got it up to the top height, so 80 centimetres from the floor to the arch. It says 79 plus or minus 7 in the book. It's good enough for me. And it's working all the way around. Obviously, if I open the door, the system will stop doing whatever it needs to do. However, the pump on this thing is fiendishly noisy. Can you hear it? So we might need to do something about that. I can go to lower mode. Oh, I can't with the door open. Let me go to lower mode. And it'll drop down. See? And then we'll go up to standard mode. Back will rise first. Okay, it's quite slow, isn't it? I think the pump's on its way out here, chap. It works, the system functions, but fiendishly slow. Going up at the back now. And then the front should start to rise. There goes the front. Barely notice it goes so slowly. Now the back finishes off rising, and then the front finishes off rising. Then we can measure. Then using trusty tape measure. What are we at the moment at the front? 77, so it's still on its way up at the front, and the back should be up to its full height now. Ah, there you go, 79 that time. And 79, and front's coming up now, I can see it, 77, 78, but like I say, that pump is quite noisy. Then I can hit the inhibit button, which should just basically maintain what it's doing. I can go up to the high mode. Eventually. May find it's not responding quickly enough. What are we up to now? Let's put the camera there. Still at 80. That switches on. Going up. Going up. One. That's a bit on the slow side there, isn't it? So I think we're going to need to look at the top. But for now, I think just drop it back down to standard height here. And when it drops down, there is a world of clicking and relays and so forth. You hear the pump back in again. So I need to understand what it is going on with the pump. But obviously it's just getting itself sorted out as far as its height is concerned. Coming down to 80, taking some time. Probably find it works better when I go on with block. There we are. You see the pump is working quite hard to maintain pressure here as well. There may be an air leak somewhere. The only pipe I've had off has been on this back driver's side wheel. If I turn everything on, Can't hear it leaking, but we'll see. With it off, it should maintain that ride height. It should stay there. It's fixed. So we'll see how long that stays in that position for. Doesn't help with the clattering the boys making over the road. What's height is this one? This one still looks quite high. This one is still quite high. Let me get in and put it to its normal standard ride height. Checking on the lower setting that it drops down level all round. So through the hub, I'm getting 75 is the arch. Step forward. Yeah. It's just the noise of that pump that's concerning me, and also the general performance of it. I don't think it should be making that much noise, should it? No, Richard, it shouldn't. Really shouldn't. Right, I'm going to get this out into the sunshine because I need to have a sweep up on the floor. You can watch from up here, can't you? How about that? It's just these blank doors.